I always associate Carlo with music because I've been here before filming the wonderful choirs in St. Leo's. So it's extra special to come and hear him and to hear the quality of the responsorial sound, the graceful music. So that's a special honour, and I suppose it adds to the sense that I have about Carlo. It's such a musical place. I'm very uncomfortable in this space tonight because I'm not a role model or a 100% anything. But in the hope of being true to myself and true to you, I'm going to try to speak honestly over the next few minutes. I have to tell you that I struggle with what are some of the stated views and attitudes of the Catholic Church. I don't believe in mandatory celibacy. I'd like to see male and female members of our clergy given the right to marry. I believe that in every aspect of church life, women should be treated as equals. I sometimes meet women ministers in other churches and wish our Catholic Church behaved the same way. Life has encouraged and at times forced me to confront what I now consider were my own misguided views and prejudices about things like homosexuality. I've come to know people who were born gay, and I've had to ask myself, what if your son or daughter comes to you someday and says, Daddy, I'm gay, how would I behave? I disagree with church teaching about in vitro fertilization. Loving couples through no fault of their own may find themselves unable to bring children into the world. For me, science giving them to become parents is the same as a blood transfusion saving the life of a person injured in a road accident, or complex ophthalmic surgery allowing a blind person to see. In national school, I was first taught by Mercy nuns and then by Maris Brothers. I went to a diocesan secondary school, Summerhill College, where there were over a dozen priests on the staff. We didn't know it at the time, but during the phase in our national schooling, several of our fellow students were being abused physically and mentally by a number of brothers and lay teachers. Evil is such a powerful, insidious force. I can appreciate how good, caring people good, caring people who dedicate their lives to helping others might struggle to recognize, understand, or confront evil. I can't excuse how, in a way, such activity was covered up. But I'm glad that we now have in place structures at different levels and in different areas of society which seek to shine a light on evil and show no tolerance of it. This is what a caring society, church included, must do. One of the finest people I ever met was an Ursuline nun. She dealt with people who were struggling with addiction problems, alcohol, drugs, prescription medicine, and other issues. And the troubled man confessed to her how, as a child, he had been rented to a number of religious who were abusing him. She knew that if she were to bring his allegations to the attention of the authorities, it would bring a section of the organisation to which she was giving her life into disrepute. She was deeply troubled, deeply traumatised. But she blew the whistle and criminal charges resulted. She developed a very painful, relentless form of cancer that eventually killed her. I think of her as a modern-day saint. At different stages in my own life, I've been blessed to meet such people. People who have given of themselves in an altruistic, total way. The invitation to come here tonight came from Monsignor Brendan Byrne, Father Brendan to me. I met him through an RTE colleague, Marion O'Neill, and her sister, two of his nieces, Cara Owen. If Father Brendan or Father Joe or Liam were teachers, Gardaí, doctors, social workers, reporters, they'd be retired or retiring on full pension. But in a church with dwindling numbers and growing demands, retirement is not an option. They continue to devote their lives to doing good. And it's not a 9-to-5 existence. My aunt was a cross and passionate nun. In February 2001, she slipped away while sitting in a chair. She was watching, would you believe, in the community's house on Belfast Lane Road. After she was given the last birth in the Cross and Passion plot in Belfast City Cemetery, at her graveside, a nun handed me her missal and a broken radio cassette machine, her worldly possessions. At Christmas, I went to see Christy Jones, the retired Bishop of Elphin. He's fighting a cancer condition and has been minded by his sister-in-law and her family members near French Park in County Roscommon. Christy was a reluctant bishop because I knew him as a radical Christian doctrine teacher during the 1970s in Summerhill College. He talked to us of the Berrigan brothers, Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, and Tom Paxton. He used to bring students to paint houses for the Vincent de Paul Society. For years, he did something that was very, very unpopular. He championed the rights of travellers. They used to call him the tinker's priest. Once he brought a group of us to sing at a mass he was celebrating in St. Columba's, the local psychiatric hospital. In the minibus on the way back, one of our group had us in stitches. He told us how, when walking down the church, he was scratching his head and he noticed a number of patients copying. Christy overheard the conversation and became very angry with us. When we got to Sligo town, he parked the minibus and said he'd be back in a few minutes. He returned with ice cream and sweets and asked for our forgiveness. 43 years on, I remember his kindness. My wife's aunt, Sheila, was a Holy Rosary nun. She was also a doctor. When she was a student training, her sister was getting married. But the closest she was let go to the actual ceremony was to sit on the gallery and to watch the ceremony downstairs. She spent most of her life working in Africa. The thousands she treated included my uncle, a Holy Ghost priest. He was working in Nigeria at the time, where he contracted malaria. Because of the Biafran War, he had to leave and was posted to the United States. He first worked in a parish in Minnesota, and he loved that. Then he was sent to become a hospital chaplain in San Francisco. That was much more challenging, and while there he became ill. He came back to Ireland and he found work in Kilty Clogher, County Leitrim. He loved that too, because he said the friendliness and warmth of the people reminded him of his time in Africa. One lunchtime, while eating in his sister's home in Drogheda, he became ill and was brought to the nearest hospital in Hamilton. The following morning I drove up to be with him. He was alone and he was sleeping. I went down into the small town to get him a toothbrush, a razor and shaving cream. When I came back, he was dead. One of my best friends in Belfast these times is Father Gary Donnelly. He's a passionist priest. It's unlikely you've heard of him, but he's a hero, a saint in a very real way, doing vital work underground behind the scenes. He's based at Holy Cross in Ardoyne, one of the flashpoints throughout the Troubles, and where a man was shot and led to death at the weekend. Gary has helped so many people and improved so many lives. The person who encouraged you to become a reporter was Father Cyril Carr, my English teacher. The pal who allowed me to help with her school's soccer team. We said farewell to Father Cyril 2 years ago. These people, women and men, have been lighthouses in my life. Selfless, utterly dedicated to giving. I saw a further reminder of it when I came into the church a few minutes ago and met the sisters of Poor Clare, one of them in her 90s, constantly praying for us, constantly looking out for us. Sometimes I wonder about the future of an institution, the institution that has been such a presence in my life. I see attendance slipping at masses on both sides of the border. But then I look at my children's generation and I know their interest in third world issues, in human rights, in the environment, in justice and fairness. And I say to myself, they're in their own way every bit as idealistic as the large numbers who entered seminaries and convents in the past. I've talked to you about the doubts, the arguments, the differences that are a feature of my life as a 60-year-old Catholic. And yet, the attachment remains. Some of it it's instinctive, it's indeed primal. Sunday Mass reminds me of journeys made with loved ones no longer alive. Tucked in alongside my grandmother with the beads at St. Anne's Church. My mother getting up early in the morning to bring me as an altar boy to half-7 Mass. Alone during trips in the car, I remember my father and how he would say the rosary, the 3 Hail Marys, to keep us safe on the road. He was a better person than me. Occasionally now, when I'm walking the roads or driving the car, I find myself turning to the rosary as he did. It's a really interesting challenge in the age of iPhones and a constant barrage of information, and indeed the habit of memory loss, to seek to retain concentration on one idea for the duration of a decade of the rosary. Our home is in the rural parish of Ransborough, 5 miles from Sligo, near Strand Hill. We were married there. Our 2 children were baptised in their first communion and confirmation there. My funeral mass will be there. We have a smasher of a priest. I actually get ballast and a sense of community from being among my neighbours at Sunday Mass. In the year of 7 days per week shopping, and work and lifestyle that can glide from day into new day, there's something renewing, something refreshing about the space provided by a Sunday Mass. So those are the concrete, defining elements of my attachment. The deeper, more profound dimensions center on the notion of a kind, forever forgiving God. Our friendships are usually a two-way process. If we do something for someone, be a family member, a friend, or a stranger, we like to have it acknowledged. Jesus himself became frustrated in Gethsemane the night before his crucifixion, when he discovered the disciples had all fallen asleep as he prayed. For me, what gives God his magnificence is he is always there when I turn for help in troubled times. Regardless of the reality that when the cloud passes and the troubles disappear, I will forget about it until my next time of need. I have turned to him at crossroads periods in my own life, when I've been afraid, when I've done wrong and been angry and disappointed with my own behaviour. One time I went looking to him, it was over 20 years ago, after I had been diagnosed with cancer. There was a little oratory in the hospital on the outskirts of Brussels, and as I was recovering from surgery, I went there. Two things were very important then. One, a book called The Heather Blazing by Colin Tobin, because it distracted me. The second, the crucial one, was the awareness of a God and the belief that he would mind me and look out for me, but that he would also look out for those I love. The fear of dying disappeared then, and it has never returned. What came to me then was an understanding that we're all just passing through. That the sensible thing is to do the best we can in the time we have. And also the awareness that in this business of life, everyone gets a bit. You get distracted by the lesser things when the storm clouds pass. You get pulled into harder situations and events that are of little or no significance. And then, as is the way of life, without warning, some real crisis and challenge surfaces. And in such moments, you reflect on what is important, and clarity is restored. Is there a life beyond here? I'm not sure. But I'm drawn to Christian principles. Not the stuff that was drawn into church politics and frailties down through the centuries, but the simple, profound truths. I love that phrase. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. I love the way it challenges us. It reminds me of John's Gospel when the Pharisees brought the woman who committed adultery before Jesus. He began drawing with the sand and invited those without sin to cast the first stone. If there is no afterlife, if this is it, then I actually don't feel I'm being conned. Because the wisdom and the challenge of that notion, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us, the belief, the hope that there's a listening ear, a support there for me when I'm in need, regardless of the fact that I didn't say thanks after the last crisis went away. Those dimensions serve as structure for me. They give life a meaning, they give it a purpose. The principles of treat others in the way you'd like to be treated, of doing the best you can in the time you have, they give existence a meaning, and that's enough for me. I leave you with the final lines of a poem called Begin Again by Brendan Kennedy. It re-energizes me when I'm struggling. It reminds me of my relationship with a God and of the need to keep going. We're very simple. Though we live in a world that dreams are ending, that always seems about to begin, something that will not acknowledge conclusion, insists that we forever